Yo, what's going on everybody? I have returned. I am going to be making YouTube videos again, and this first video is going to be on a starter Necromancer build for Season 11, Patch 2.6. The first set you're going to get with the Necromancer through the Hadrig's Gift in Season 11 is the Rathma set. This set is focused on buffing your pets and Army of the Dead. To simulate what it's going to be like at the beginning of the season, we're running with just the 6-piece Rathmas as legendaries. The rest of the gear is all rare, low-level gems, and 0 Paragon. Now first let's go over what the Rathma set does. The 2 set reads, your minions have a chance to reduce the cooldown of Army of the Dead by 1 second each time they deal damage. With this 2-piece, you're going to have Army of the Dead up for just about every Elite and Champion pack. The 4 set, you gain 1% damage reduction for 15 seconds each time one of your minions deals damage, max 50 stacks. Be careful at the very beginning of the Rift until your minions get some hits in and you get this damage reduction stacked up. And the 6-piece reads, each active skeletal mage increases the damage of your minions and Army of the Dead by 625% up to a max of 2500%. So you can have a max of 10 skeletal mages out at a time, but you only need 4 out to get the full bonus from the 6-piece. Alright, so next let's get into the abilities, and the build is really pretty flexible. I'm going to show you guys which runes that I prefer and then show you some variations as well, some alternatives. So first off, we have Bone Spikes with Blood Spikes. This is going to be our generator. Now at some point in time, once you have some better gear, eventually you may not need a generator anymore. If you're killing quick enough, Devouring Aura and Dark Reaping should be able to just take care of your essence costs by themselves, but at the beginning you're going to want to have a generator, and I like Bone Spikes here with Blood Spikes. It generates 24 essence, and then enemies hit bleed for 50% weapon damage as physical over 2 seconds and heal you for 0.5% of your total life over the duration. So you get some healing and essence back with this, but really you could run any generator that you see fit, whatever you prefer. Go ahead and run that in this slot. Next up we have Skeletal Mage, Skeleton Archer. This is going to raise a Skeleton Archer that attacks your foes, dealing 400% weapon damage as cold per attack, lasting 6 seconds. Now the duration of this will be increased by Extended Servitude, and then also the Skeleton Archers increase your attack speed by 3% for 5 seconds each time they deal damage, with a max of 10 stacks. Now I prefer Skeleton Archer, especially early on when you're first hitting level 70 and getting your 6-piece. The other potential option would be Life Support, which is going to make your Skeletal Mage last an additional 2 seconds, which is really nice, but at the cost of 10% of your health. And at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't really recommend that, although it is definitely something that you could potentially work around if you wanted to. Another great rune is Singularity. I wouldn't recommend it though for a starter build. If you try to run it early on in the season, you're going to be pretty essence starved, and it's going to be difficult to keep up the 4 mages that you need to activate the entire 6-piece set bonus. But eventually, once you have some other legendaries to complement this build, it is definitely a rune that you could run. Next up we have Command Skeletons, Frenzy. The passive here is you raise skeletons from the ground every 2 seconds to a max of 7 skeletons. They deal 50% weapon damage as physical per attack. And then when you activate the ability, you're going to command the skeletons to attack a target, and when you do this, their attack speed gets increased by 25%. So this is the nice DPS option here, getting extra attack speed. The other rune that I would potentially recommend is Freezing Grasp, which the target of your command is frozen for 3 seconds, so you get some crowd control there. Another potential option would be Dark Mending. Skeletal minions will heal you for 0.5% of your total health per hit while being commanded, so you get some life back that way if you need it. Blood Rush with Metabolism. You're going to see Blood Rush in basically every Necromancer build. It's a movement ability. It also gets you out of sticky situations potentially if you need it to. It does cost 10% of your health to cast. I like Metabolism because it provides you 1 additional charge, but it does double the health cost. But I think that's just fine. It's going to give you a good bit of speed for clearing rifts. Other options here: Potency increases your armor by 100% for 2 seconds after casting, so you get a nice toughness increase there. You could also go with Transfusion, which heals you as you pass through enemies. Molting will leave a corpse behind, which you can then consume with Devouring Aura to get some essence back. And then Hematosis removes the health cost. So literally any of these would be totally fine. Pick and choose which one you like the best and work with that. Alright, that brings us to the Army of the Dead Death Valley. And again, with the 2-piece bonus with Rathma, every time your minions damage an enemy, they have the chance to reduce the cooldown of Army of the Dead. And so Like I said before, you're going to have this up for the majority of Elite and Champion packs. With this rune, the Skeletal Army knocks all affected enemies towards the center. So everything basically just gets pulled to the center. It's really good crowd control and does a ton of damage. Again though, with Army of the Dead, you could really choose any of these runes. Just try them out, see what you like, and pick which one fits your playstyle the best. I think Death Valley is the best rune though, in my opinion. Next up, Devour Devouring Aura. You emit an aura that consumes all corpses within 15 yards to restore 11 essence per corpse, and then this range is increased by 50% of your gold pickup radius. So I prefer Devouring Aura because it's just one less button to click, and to be honest with you, I like being lazy sometimes and not having to click as many buttons. So I like Devouring Aura, but you could definitely go with a lot of different runes here. Probably the best one to go if you're not going Devouring Aura would be Cannibalize. Each corpse consumed also restores 3% of your health. And that brings us right into the passives. First up, we have Extended Servitude. Increase the duration of your Skeletal Mage and revive minions by 25%. This one's pretty mandatory to keep those Skeletal Mages out to make sure you're keeping that 6-piece bonus going and just having as many Skeletal Mages out as possible because that's a lot of your damage. Final Service is basically your cheat death passive here, just like every other class has one. Dark Reaping. While you're using a Scythe, gain 2% essence and life per kill. Then we got Blood is Power. After losing 100% of your maximum life, all ability cooldowns are reduced by 20%. This effect cannot reduce an ability's cooldown more than once for each time that ability is used. So this will give us an even quicker Army of the Dead and also reduce the cooldown on Blood Rush as well. So let's talk about some alternative passives. So we've got Fueled by Death. Now currently Fueled by Death is bugged and will only go up to 25% move speed, but hopefully when the season starts this will be fixed. And it's a great passive. You get a ton of movement speed out of it. While you're running Bone Spikes, you can run Bone Prison, and basically whenever you hit something with Bone Spikes, you'll have a 30% chance to trap enemies in the Bone Prison for 3 seconds. If you get to a point where you don't need a generator and you can add a curse to your bar, you could run Spreading Malediction, which you receive 1% damage bonus for each enemy afflicted by one of your curses. Grisly Tribute, you are healed for 10% of your life on hit when one of your minions hits an enemy, so if you happen to have a decent amount of life on hit, you can get some out of Paragon, maybe some on gear. This might be a decent alternative for some healing. You can also go Draw Life, increases your life regen by 10% for each enemy within 20 yards. If you get a Molten Wildebeest Gizzard legendary gem, get that leveled up a little bit, makes this much better. And there are a few other passives you could probably honestly run if you wanted to, but I think those are probably the best ones out of all the options. Now let's talk about a few items to look out for that'll really make this build powerful. Now don't get me wrong, there are tons of items that will increase the overall power of the build, but these 4 particular items especially you should be on the hunt to try to find. So first off, we have the Circle Ring. You now raise an additional Skeletal Mage with each cast, and they last an additional 4 seconds. Now this thing is absolutely crazy for the build. You get to cast 2 mages at once, which gets you to those 4 mages much faster to make sure you have the 6-piece bonus, the full 6-piece bonus of Rathma. And then also, you're going to be able to have your max 10 mages out much more often with this thing. And on top of that, they last much longer. Fantastic ring, and be the #1 item to look out for with this build. Then we have Tasker and Theos. Pretty self-explanatory, increases the attack speed of your pets by up to 50%. Then next up we have the Jessith 2-piece set. It's a scythe and a shield. So you've got the skull scythe and then the shield. And that reads, when the target of your command skeletons dies, your skeletons are automatically commanded to attack a nearby target. So that's fantastic because you don't have to click your command skeletons near as much. It's one less button to press and they're just going to jump around and attack things even more often with that extra attack speed or with the freeze, depending on what rune you're running. And then the other ability, while your skeletons are commanded to attack a target, all of your minions deal 400% increased damage. That's going to increase the damage of your skeletons and your skeletal mages. So as soon as you get this 2-piece set, your damage is just going to go through the roof. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Hopefully it helped some of you in Season 11, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. It's been quite some time since I made a YouTube video, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that stayed subscribed to the channel this entire time. I really do appreciate it, and I'm going to be putting out a lot more YouTube videos. I'm going to get back into it, and I will be streaming Season 11 as well. So I'll put a link to my stream in the description of this video if any of you guys want to check that out if you haven't before, and hopefully I'll see you over there as well. So anyways, guys, thank you very much yet again, and I will see you next time.